welcome back to the big room. I'm joined by Ann Bear. You know that thing on the internet that's like women choosing the bear or whatever? There's a third option, and it's I've also chosen a bear and replaced a woman with it. But no, Danielle's her sister's in town, so she's not here, which means that this show this week will be completely devoid of common sense.
Pretty much.
Just three men
And
a bear.
And
this guy.
can they see that?
Yeah, they can. There's a website called Beer Deer. Not a sponsor. I paid money for these. And I got an ad on Instagram for Beer Deers, which is like they give you this kit where they've like laser cut beer boxes. And then you get instructions and you build a beer out of bush boxes. And they're running a promo where you get an animal free. So this is a bear made of mango carton and High Noon and Sierra Nevada and Malibu can boxes, which is dope. He's big. I don't know where he's going to go. But right now he goes in Danielle's chair because she isn't here.
Yep.
So we
What
watched...
else do they have?
I don't know. Oh, they had a Marlin. I don't remember what beer that was.
Ooh.
They had a Bass and I think another deer that wasn't Bush. But it was like a beer that I cared about even less than Bush. So I
No moose yet, huh?
no moose, and you can tell they. I wonder if they have a contract or something with certain breweries, because obviously I would want a Miller Lite deer, but you know I'm stuck with Bush. So his name's Harvick,
Yep.
and the bear's name is Samson, and
Great
he's gonna go
names.
somewhere in the room, but not on camera because there's already too much shit on the walls. And the deer, you can barely see his antlers. But hey, we're gonna put like Christmas lights on him and stuff. It's gonna be lit.
That will be fun.
So we watched an cartoon this week. Strictly speaking, we watched an cartoon mini series. Which is like a series, but shorter.
Yep.
And that's the end of the episode. No, I'm kidding. So we watched a Carl recommendation. We watched Over the Garden Wall. I was scared when you brought this up because I didn't know how long the show was. It was 10 episodes.
It's only 10 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a quick watch.
It's 10 episodes, and the whole thing was like an hour 50 or an hour 40 something. It's short.
Yeah.
Pretty concise, yeah.
So it's short movie length if you wanted to bang it out in one go. Danielle and I watched
what
it.
I did.
We watched 8 episodes one night, and then last night we watched the last 2.
That's good.
Which, if you're going to break it up, do that.
Yeah.
Do that. Because the 9th episode is like, it's a prologue almost. It's
Little
cool.
flashback.
It's cool. So you brought this up because it's cozy, right? Is that why you brought this up?
Among other things, yeah. I just thought we would all enjoy it. Like, I knew it kind of, like, after we watched Charlie Brown, I was like, this kind of has a Charlie Brown feel, too, because it's got that kind of old-style animation with, like, the kind of beautifully painted backgrounds. But, so after we watched that, I was like, well, they're definitely going to like this one. But, yeah, I just thought, you know, I'm always trying to get you guys to watch more TV shows. Eventually, I'll get you on 30 Rock. but that's a battle for another time. But, yeah, I just thought you guys would enjoy it, so I'm hoping that you did.
It's fall themed.
It's very fun.
Well, yeah, it's... We learn in the 9th episode that it's Halloween, which explains the costumes.
Yeah. Which it didn't even dawn on me because there's so much other way weirder things happening. It didn't even dawn on me that it was a gnome and he had a pot on his head.
All right, before we get into that, let's get into the origins. So I have no box office because it's not a movie. This was created by and executive produced, written, storyboarded, and the songs are written by Patrick McHale. He wrote it for Cartoon Network. This is Cartoon Network's first miniseries. I think I read that he had been toying with this concept since 2004 and then pitched it to Cartoon Network in 2010 or 11 or so. And he pitched the pilot, which was called what? I don't remember.
Tome of the Unknown?
Tome of the Unknown, right? Which is an 8.5 minute. The pilot's on YouTube. Tome of the Unknown is. I haven't watched it. Nick hasn't watched it. Carl, have you watched it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I meant to watch it, but my day was crazy. So
I
Tome
didn't
of the
know
Unknown
to watch it.
was kind of the pilot. He showed it to Cartoon Network, and they were like, I think there was something about it was going to be a film, and then they were like, no, this would best be a series. And then Patrick McHale was like, miniseries. The quote I have was he felt that the miniseries format was, quote, something that felt higher quality than what we could do with a regular series.
Yeah, I read that they wanted like 3 seasons.
Yeah,
at
and
first.
the miniseries even was 18 episodes at first, and it was
Oh, God.
truncated down to 10, which is, I think, even a little long for a miniseries. But I don't know why a miniseries is like somewhere in the 6 to 8 episode range, but 10 was perfect for this because the episodes are 11 minutes long.
Right.
So Patrick McHale was the writer and storyboard artist for The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, which is an insane show. He was the creative director on season 1 and 2, and the storyboard artist for 2 episodes, and a writer throughout Adventure Time, which is Carl's business. And he also co-wrote on Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio movie from like 2019, whenever that came out. That's this guy. So he wrote this short. It gets worked into a miniseries. It was tabled for a bit, actually, because he was working on Adventure Time. And then when his time at Adventure Time concluded, they asked him to pitch it again, and he worked Tome of the Unknown into Over the Garden Wall. Tome of the Unknown has some of the same characters. It has Wirt, it has Greg, it has Beatrice. The main difference is, so they're all voiced by the same people, with the exception of Beatrice. She is voiced by Natasha Leggero in Tome of the Unknown, and she's Melanie Linsky in Over the Garden Wall. So she was a change. First miniseries, like I said. Our main cast, Wirt, is Elijah Wood. Frodo Baggins is back for us. Greg is Colin Dean. He was 9 years old at the time. He's 19 now. Beatrice is Melanie Linsky, like I said. The Woodsman was played by Christopher Lloyd of Back to the Future fame. Greg's Frog, which at different times is named Kitty, Wirt Jr., George Washington, Mr. President, Benjamin Franklin, Dr. Cucumber, Greg Jr., Skipper Ronald, and finally Jason Futterberker, was voiced by Jack Jones, and the Beast is voiced by Samuel Raimi, who did not write the Spider-Man films.
I definitely got confused when I first saw his name.
Spelled different.
No.
But that was my joke. It's an interesting series. It's one that I think you cannot watch just once.
No.
Which is why I think so many people that I've talked to, when I've mentioned that this is our next thing we're watching, to people in my life, the reaction I often get is, oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
It's so cozy. And I think they love it. Partly, like, obviously it's super cozy. It's extremely well animated. It's well written. But because it's well written, it begs you to watch it at least twice. Like, I'm going to watch it all the way through because especially when you hit that 9th episode, and to be fair, the finale, you're like,
those last 2, man. Because I kind of fell from episode to episode, like 4, 5, 6. I was kind of in and out on it, like not really caring much. I know, but once 8, 9, and 10 happened, especially 9 and 10, it was like, oh my God!
So
like
4,
ties it all
5, and
together.
6 were Adelaide's house, the Quincy Endicott episode with the mansion, and then
the freaking horse.
My excessive wealth.
the Frog Fairy.
The
Frog Fairy was 6. So
The horse can do whatever he wants. I want to steal.
but he was the horse of a highwayman,
He was.
and highwaymen
God, the highwayman.
steal from travelers. So no, it's a very interesting one because you're plopped into this world that is very autumnal. It's called the Unknown, and you're with 2 brothers, Wirt and Greg, and they're lost. And that's what we have. Greg's got a damn teapot on his head upside down. Wirt's wearing like a Civil War overcoat, like cape thing, and a red cone. And you're just like, yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
like,
quickly accept the reality of what we're given.
It's cartoons, though. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility. It totally scans.
And it's the least weird thing that happens.
It is.
Yeah.
So the first episode, they meet this talking bluebird, and that's the first key that we get that it's kind of not your normal kids cartoon. Or may I say that Wirt and Greg, but mostly Wirt, are also not in on the rules of the universe, if that makes sense. Because he's immediately like, talking bluebird, this is weird.
Yeah.
And that's jarring because normally when you're watching an animated thing and an animal talks, everybody's on board with it. because animals
Yeah,
talk in
it's
cartoons.
making Cinderella's dress or something. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But then as soon as a main character goes, the thing that's happening, that's the first thing that's happening in the show is weird. You're like, oh, we're in a weird place.
Yeah. And they're out of place.
And it's the whole show, especially the first 2 or 3 episodes, has an undertone of unsettlement to me.
Yeah, it is funny because so many people do say it's cozy, but there's a lot of unsettling qualities throughout each episode too.
There were parts of each episode that were cozy, but if I had to describe the show in a word, cozy would not be that word.
Yeah, I wouldn't use that.
I don't know what the word would be.
You arrive at cozy after you finish the show.
Yes.
Maybe.
It's not something you say during each episode.
And then I think that, but for me, because I'm so emotional, it would take me probably a good 4 or 5, half a dozen watch throughs to be comfortable enough with the up and downs of the plot to want to put it on casually. You know what I mean? Like I don't reach for example, when I want to relax and watch a movie, I don't reach for Return of the King because I'm not, there's no numbing me to the emotion of that. Now, Over the Garden Wall isn't the same degree. This dog is going to suicide jump into my lap.
oh boy.
Here we go. Danielle's not here to manage
I was
the
gonna
dogs.
say, I'm kind of jealous of Danielle and Phoebe's relationship every episode. It was nice. She's just sitting here looking up at me.
Yeah.
Those big old puppy dog eyes.
She's got big old puppy
Just
dog
like
eyes.
Greg's.
Much like the wolf in the first episode.
Oh,
Went
true.
2 different places.
Pretty eyes.
Chucking the candy everywhere. I like that I learned today that the creator worked on Flapjack, because there's Flapjack. You watch Flapjack, right, Carl?
A little bit of it, yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of too late for me.
It was a little bit too late for me. I know my brother was big into like the Chowder Flapjack, like tail end of Adventure Time. Although he loved Adventure Time. Adventure Time, I kind of missed the boat on a little bit.
It's one of those. I mean, it's a masterpiece of a show, but it does take a few seasons to kind of figure out, like, to kind of grow. I don't know. It's a ridiculous cartoon in the very beginning, and then it becomes like kind of philosophical, and
That's what I've
but
read.
yeah, it's definitely worth watching all the way through.
Flapjack is almost gross. You know, they do those
Yeah,
like
it's got those like SpongeBob close-ups where they do like the
cuts. Those almost realistic.
I'm trying so hard to follow this
Well,
conversation.
this is just a conversation where you've got to watch the television.
yeah.
The SpongeBob.
I just got the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob on DVD, also known as the only seasons of SpongeBob on DVD. And we should watch them one time because the show's amazing, and then it quickly isn't. It's like they did 1, 2, 3, and then the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and that's when the creator wanted to end the show. And Nickelodeon was like, "This
Money.
prints money."
Yeah.
You know, I think the late Steven Hillenburg, God rest his soul, stepped away after that. So, no, Flapjack though, they share tones. It's not because Flapjack is also kind of unsettling at its core.
It's
but
absurdist,
more
but there's not
outright.
there's nothing like weighing it down to like a larger theme. I don't think. I haven't watched much of it, but this definitely has like there's larger things happening. There's like symbolism, and I don't know if there is that in Flapjack or not.
Well, Flapjack's just yucky. It's just a
Yeah.
yucky show. There's like, you know, everybody's got scurvy and it's weird.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy Over the Garden Wall, because I did, but I do feel like a lot of it was probably lost on me.
Why?
Just from not having any other kind of frame of reference around other
no
cartoons.
animated shows in
Like
your repertoire.
it stands out against everything that I just haven't seen.
You know what it reminded Danielle of?
what?
And I concur with this, but not. This is going to be maybe a take that people get upset with, and I don't want them to, because I'm not saying that this is a 1-to-1, nor is she. But there were parts and maybe undertones and just things in this that reminded us a little bit of like a Studio Ghibli kind of movie feel.
I thought the
Does that
same
make
thing.
sense?
Yep.
It's got that same kind of, you know, the Ghibli, it's for example, the food's very inviting and the character designs are very inviting, but the stories are
there's a
often
warmth there.
very deep underneath all of that warmth. And this felt
There's
similar,
a lesson. Yeah.
but maybe not as warm, more whimsical, and I guess people say cozy, but you know, we're talking about death and
Yeah.
and those undertones and coming to your justifications of errors you've made in your life and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's
Yeah.
so. But they
It's-
wrap
yeah.
that up in a cartoon, which is why
Yeah,
animation.
they pad it. It's serious themes padded with the cartoon format and kind of whimsy.
It's why you just can't take people seriously who say that like animated stuff can't be deep
Oh no,
because
yeah.
they're idiots. But yeah, I don't know. That's a comparison we drew. I don't know how serious that is. You know, I don't want to be like it's the same as Ghibli because it isn't. But we both had that kind of feeling of like the visual is.
What was the Ghibli we watched?
Oh God, Spirited Away.
Spirited Away. Yeah, no, I thought of that movie a lot, especially with like just the way some of the characters looked. Like it was just like not proportioned like humans.
That's it. Well, that's animation though, because like to me, I was thinking of Adventure Time and Flapjack while watching it the whole time, and the creator worked on both. I wonder who did the animation.
I'm not sure.
I know he did the storyboarding, which I don't know. I just don't know enough about the animation process, but it did look like both. You know, the very simple faces, flat, big eyes.
Yeah.
That's very both.
Very
of those
geometric,
shows.
facial features. There's also another like an attention to detail and like a care behind the product for both.
Oh my God! If you watch the first couple episodes again, and really throughout, there are hints to things throughout. Like for example, the mill. In the first episode where the woodsman is squeezing that wood. What's the wood called? I can't remember.
Edelwood trees?
Edelwood trees.
Yeah.
He's squeezing the edelwood into oil to keep his lamp lit. Right?
I didn't know. I didn't know that's where it came from.
Yeah.
It's so
In the
good.
main room, like the living room area where Greg like knocks his hat off and he falls down and hits his head on the log. If you look on the mantle of the fireplace, there's a bluebird.
really?
Because that's where what's the bluebird's name? Beatrice. That's where
Beatrice.
Beatrice's family lived. And then later at the very
Oh my
end
God,
of the,
that was their.
yeah, at the very end of the show, that's where they're having the meal. Eat your dirt, blah blah blah. When the mom's like razzing her for cursing them for throwing the stone at the bluebird and turning them all into bluebirds. It's stuff like that. And for another thing is Beatrice is actually shown in human form at the very beginning of the first episode. We get a montage. Of different
Dude, I gotta watch
characters.
this again.
You have to. This
Different
is what I'm
little
saying.
vignettes, yeah.
You have to watch it again.
It's
one
so
of the
well crafted, well connected.
One of the montages is one of the images in the montage is Beatrice sitting in human form next to a dog, and it's the dog.
Yeah.
From the first episode when it
That
coughs
is
up
not the beast.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's their dog. And there's lots of stuff like that. I mean, there's a circus scene in the beginning, and it's the
Jimmy Brown in the
Jimmy Brown
gorilla
in
suit.
the Yeti
gorilla,
suit. The
yeah.
gorilla suit.
Oh,
yeah,
Jimmy
he's-
Brown, why'd you leave me so? That woman needs help.
Yeah.
Which
Therapy.
the guy who played Jimmy Brown or voiced Jimmy Brown was the mustache cop from Reno 911.
Yes.
I knew. Okay, I was like,
I had to look it up because it sounded a lot like Hank Hill. And I was like,
Yeah.
is that the same guy? No, we go.
Bobby, I got stuck in the gorilla suit. Dang,
Damn it, Bobby.
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't have Hulu, and I think that's the only place this was streaming.
It is the only place.
So
Oh.
it was only on Apple TV to buy. So I now own this.
Oh, nice.
So
Oh, wow.
at least once a year, I'm going to rewatch.
You did that instead
Yeah.
of getting a subscription for a month. That's
Yeah.
what I would have done.
Yeah,
I would have done.
I don't want a subscription. Then you forget the subscription. Then it renews. Now I'm $20 or $30
Yeah,
in
I'm
Hulu.
kinda
That's what's
getting-
happened to me with Apple.
I'm kind of getting back
With
into
Charlie
like
Brown.
buying stuff.
Yeah, now I own it. I can watch it whenever I want.
I'm gonna start like the SpongeBob DVDs. I just got. I'm gonna rip them and put them on my Plex server so I can still like have the streaming instant gratification, but also own it.
I'm still gonna have to get a DVD player or a Blu-ray player to do that
I gotta
because
get a
none of my
disc
devices have a disc drive. I know
I
it's
don't have a
crazy.
disc drive either.
Nope.
Actually, I do
Xbox.
I have an Xbox and a DVD player because our old Xbox croaked before I was kindly gifted this one. And so Danielle, like our internet went out and she just went to Walmart at like 10 p.m. and had like some nerd with a key unlock the thing and get a DVD player for $40.
They're behind a locked
Well,
door.
of course they are. Them's easy pickings, them DVD players.
I guess.
I mean,
So-
they got toothpaste behind a locked door now.
Let's kind of talk about. I want to talk about a bunch of things, and I want the conversation to kind of be loose rather than going one episode at a time because nobody wants to listen to that. And also, please God, go watch this.
Yes.
In the second episode, which is the one with the pumpkin people,
Hard times at the Huskin Bee.
that was a weird one.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Because it was like your first look at like you don't really know what you're getting into with the show.
But it was ominous. It was it had because you walk
Well,
in.
it seemed ominous.
Right, because
And that's kind of like the overarching theme for this whole thing is Wirt is anxious and he assumes the worst in people. But
me.
each episode we find out that maybe people aren't as bad as we think. Wait, what?
That's me though. I identify with Wirt a lot throughout this.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
But I'm watching it going, are we doing a midsummer? Like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, I'm gearing up for some real scary stuff, and it's very ominous.
Yeah.
And they're digging holes, and it's like, oh, are we digging our own graves? Mm-hmm. But there's a line where the pumpkin people tell Wirt at one point, quote, that he's not ready to join them yet.
Yeah.
You're a little early.
Which brings up a question. Because if you finish the show... So the 9th episode kind of goes on, and it goes back in time. And it explains that the teapot is on Greg's head because he's an
elephant.
And it's supposed to be his trunk, and he makes elephant noises. And Wirt...
Which is a pretty good DIY costume.
It's pretty excellent. Wirt has this cassette tape he's made with poetry because he's so kind of, waspy,
He's
poetic.
crushing,
But he's like trying to project smart, Like he often waxes poetic and people tell him to knock it off.
Yeah, he does it like every episode.
He does it every episode. And
Yeah.
in the 3-minute short they released like 11 days ago to commemorate the 10-year anniversary, he's waxes poetic a bunch of times and Beatrice talks over him repeatedly. He's got this tape and he's going to give it to his crush, Sarah with no H. And like she's a mascot at a football game. He's looking through the fence. And then we learn it's Halloween and that's why they're wearing the costumes. Which does a weird thing. It really grounds the show because it feels like for the first 8 episodes, there's that undertone of you're trying to figure out what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, are they dead? In the 7th or 8th episode or so, I'm like,
We'll come back to that.
Are they dead? No, we're going to get into that now.
Okay.
And so in this 9th episode, which is called Into the Unknown, I believe, like the Frozen 2 song, but better, and they are they're hanging out in a graveyard, and this cop who's just razzing them, like pulls up in the graveyard and he's like, are you guys doing a seance or whatever? And by the way, one of the gravestones that Wirt and Greg are hiding behind is the rich guy. What's his
Quincy
name?
Endicott.
Oh, really?
It's his gravestone.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
Lots of little
Details in
things.
this
I love
show.
that.
It's so good.
Lots
Yeah.
of little things.
Yep.
So they run away from the cops because they're scared of cops because
Yeah.
cops.
We all are.
So the
Human nature.
The graveyard they're in is called the Eternal Garden, and then they go over the garden wall
Yeah.
onto some railroad tracks. And Wirt pushes Greg away from the train. They fall down a hill and they end up in a body of water. I don't remember if it was frozen,
I don't think so.
I mean, I'm
think
assuming it was pretty cold.
but probably cold because it's October.
It's Halloween.
Yeah.
And then we kind of go, that kind of puts us into perspective of, is the unknown like a purgatory? Because they do wake up, but they wake up in episode 10 after they've learned like life lessons and stuff or work specifically.
I'm still kind of unclear.
Here's what makes me unclear. Can I bring back the pumpkin people for a second,
Yeah.
and then we'll get back to you. This is just a long. They call it the weave. Just kidding.
Oh my god.
So with the not ready to join them yet, that's where I get confused because I'm going the unknown is a purgatory is what I'm thinking last night, and then I've rewatched some stuff today. Admittedly, not all of the show, but I'm wondering how can the unknown be a purgatory if there's life and death inside of it? Because the skeleton people are digging up skeletons and then they're reanimated as soon as they're dug up and they give them pumpkin costumes so we can assume that everyone wearing a skeleton is dead. And if Wirt's not ready to join them yet, is it because, like, are there layers to purgatory? I just don't... I mean,
purgatory is what? Just a waiting zone. So maybe he just was still in the waiting. He wasn't quite ready to move
But then
on
how
yet.
are
Like,
there
it's still
dead?
a tipping point.
How are people dead in
the
purgatory?
waiting.
I don't know.
Maybe they... Well, he wasn't... At this point, I mean, if he was in the water, I don't think he was fully dead yet. He might have been unconscious and near death, but they weren't fully dead.
Right. That's an interesting point. Because purgatory is, I guess, in religion and mythology, it's the waiting place after you've passed while you serve a penance before you can move on to the afterlife.
Yeah.
So it's odd. It's like, why are they there? Were they there in the same way that, for example, Ebenezer Scrooge does the whole ghost thing in A Christmas Story, where he's being shown Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Christmas Yet to Come.
But that feels a little different.
It is different, but I'm saying like in the same way that he wasn't dead, he was being shown what would have happened, you know, if he were dead and blah, blah, blah. Is that like, I don't know. It's just the unknown is ambiguous to me in that regard because it plays out like a purgatory, but they aren't dead. And then when Wirt learns finally like to take responsibility for his own actions, which seems to be one of the main themes of like he goes through and nothing's his fault. He's blaming Greg for everything. When he finally learns and offers to basically sacrifice himself to the beast to save Greg, who's wrapped in the root of whatever the hell the tree is called.
Edelwood.
Edelwood. I just want to think of Edelweiss, the song from what's that movie called? Jesus.
Sound of Music?
Sound of Music. Thank you. My brain doesn't work. We should really record this and quit our job so I don't have to do this on a full day of work, brain. It's like work stops at 5 and then at 5:01 podcast prep happens and then at 8 we record and it's rough.
It's a full day.
Also doing this a day late because we watched Who's Line last night or Who's Alive anyway last night, which is cool.
So fun.
But what were you going to say about your purgatory thoughts?
Well, to help maybe not to put a pin in, but like to help you figure out what was going on here, I read that the original...
This guy reads.
Sometimes. Only when I have to. I read that the original intention was for them to be dead in the water.
Oh.
So like they've come out and kind of said, this is what we originally were going to do.
Okay.
So there's kind of undertones of that in the writing, I think. That they were dead in the water and that the beast was guiding them into the afterlife.
I see.
Yeah.
But...
And because he didn't make that deal...
Right.
And now they're still alive.
There's kind of something to that because Greg is it the 8th episode or so when Wirt just is like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Beatrice has betrayed them, so they leave Beatrice, right? And he covers himself in the leaves and just lays under the tree.
Yeah.
And then the Edelwood starts to grab him, and then we have
then Greg has the dream.
one episode where we have this from Greg's perspective. And he's got that whole, he's in the clouds and he's liberating animals.
That was an unbelievable episode.
But there's this there's that fairy or whatever, right? That like godmother figure who's like, Wirt's too far gone. You need to come with me or whatever. The theory that I read was that was the beast.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
That's the beast, just in a different form. Because Greg
takes different.
He's
always the
Greg
beast?
is naive enough.
Greg's
to believe
naive.
it.
He's not anxious, so he doesn't see the beast. One of the theories that I saw for everything is that the unknown, every character you meet in the unknown is having their own version of reality in the unknown.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that nuts? And we get
And it looks different.
It looks different for
every
everybody.
character.
So it's like infinite realities. But that raises
All
a million
contained within this
questions
one,
because
like,
then how are Wirt, Beatrice, and Greg having the same combined experience, or are they?
Maybe,
and
yeah,
are we
maybe
just
having the
seeing
similar-
everything from Wirt's
I was
point
going to say,
of view?
whose perspective are we seeing then?
Yeah.
Right.
Is it an ensemble or not?
Is it the woods? Is it the woodsman's perspective? Like, you know,
Well, they do tee up that like the Wirt would become the woodsman if he continued with that thing.
Yeah.
So they do kind of share a similar arc.
or anybody, because it could have been Greg too, because he tried to get Greg to do the things to carry the lantern, and then no, actually that's not true because Greg was going to be consumed by the Edelwood, and then Wirt got offered the lantern. So you're right.
Yeah, because he needs like an anxious personality, which was kind of the same way that like the woodsman was. Like he would do anything to keep his
To
daughter
the
alive.
point to where the woodsman was projecting his own daughter into the lantern when really once Wirt had kind of did the gentlest thing to even nudge that reality, not even shake it, then the woodsman looks into the lantern and it's the beast silhouette. We got the antlers.
Yeah.
And that's not until Wirt was like, this is dumb. Maybe you're in the lantern.
Which that question was echoed in like, I think it was in the Husk and Bee episode. She's like, so now what? You're just going to walk around the woods forever? And he's like, I don't know. And then like when the beast is like, yeah, do this, he realizes, yeah, walking around the woods forever is a terrible idea. And then he like comes full circle.
It was the most, you get a lot of things in media about characters like snapping into understanding kind of what is going on. But none of them have what to me is a very real realization. An exclamation of that realization of this is dumb.
Yeah.
That was so relatable. When he's just like, dumb, I'm not doing that. What if it's you in there? That was the most relatable part to me.
That
because
logic flip.
I saw myself in that going, dumb. No.
Yeah.
There was
Stupid.
Shoot, there was.
Why would you want to help me? Yeah.
Right.
There was a line where he was like, "Man, I know I have it written down here, but I have it.
Find it, Nick. Come on.
I know. I'm sorry.
Find it. Find it, Nick.
Essentially,
Find it.
I can't find it. God. Essentially, he was like, "Someone give us directions out of here," and the character was like, "Just follow your heart, and you'll find it." And he's like,
It was
"No,
the-
I think we
the-
need directions." Like it was just very.
Was it The Apprentice in the tavern episode? He was like, all you need to do is follow your heart.
yeah.
Yes.
That was a cool episode because everybody in that one all had a role defined, and they were struggling to figure out what Wort's role is, who himself like kind of didn't want any role assigned to him at all.
But it's also the most flippant episode because none of those characters serve any purpose. It's just really to call Wirt. What do they call him?
They call him. Well,
Wirt?
first they said he was like simple, and then they thought he was like kind of a pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
That was
That was
they
it.
ended with pilgrim, but then it was the start, the lover or something like
Did you
that.
see that?
Wait, what?
Why is Discord doing an apple? You gave a thumbs up and it did it on the screen.
Oh man.
Technology is dumb. Yes, so they call him the Pilgrim, but like that's what he seemed to me to be the whole time. So it seemed a little on the nose.
Well,
or
that's
not-
it's kind of him accepting it because in the very beginning, like both Wirt and Greg they have a bad relationship with responsibility.
Yes.
Greg is irresponsible to a fault, and Wirt will not accept responsibility. He shuns
Right.
it, and then like that's in the woodsman is like, no, this is your fault. Like you're the older brother. So like he's like we kind of get that seed planted in the beginning, and then like throughout the episodes, he kind of begins to finally accept responsibility
Right.
and kind of become a fuller person. So.
And I guess like it would give him a little bit of purpose behind his wandering, you know? Because what are pilgrims if not wanderers from one destination to
You
an
have to have a
unclear
destination.
next?
Yeah.
So they're like, well, you're a pilgrim, so you just got to find it. And then the horse speaks and they go to that crazy mansion, which that was weird because it's like, did the mansion guy have multiple personality disorder? Did he go insane because he was alone? Is that to speak on the dangers of
Yeah, he might be holding a
hoarding
mirror
wealth
to,
above
like-
all else? Because we've got these two massively
Well-
rich people, both of whom are next to one another. Like they could
alone.
have companionship, but they're
Same,
alone in their mansions that are so massive, they're literally intertwined.
Yeah.
And they're competitors in a business and they don't even know each other. Like it's such, that speaks
Well, it also
to
echoes
yeah.
capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
It
late
also
capitalistic.
Echoes, Sarah and Wirt's relationship because the only thing keeping them from being together was Wirt's own fear that was self-imposed. Like it wasn't a reality.
Right, but that fear in the mansion sense is they were both afraid of one another, whereas Wirt's fear is at least one side.
True.
I think it's more.
But it also
of a-
shows Wirt like this is what happens if you do stay afraid and don't like open yourself up and be vulnerable.
This is why the show's so deep, though.
Yeah.
Because even you take that one episode, and there's like 7 things you can learn from it,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and like to the point of they're there under a false pretense to get 2 coins so they can see Adelaide. Adelaide.
Adelaide.
And what do you want the bear for? Have a ball. I had a train of thought. Oh, they're both there to get the coins, right? And they go through all of this, and they finally get the coins. And what does
then he
Greg? What does
throws
Greg
them
do?
away.
He throws them
them
in
away.
a well,
Responsibility. Yeah.
but the well's full of coins, which has to mean something, and I don't understand what that means really.
Does it?
But it really sets up, I mean, everything in the show
Yeah, you're
seems
right.
to.
Yeah.
But then it sets up the whole next episode where they're on the frog ferry and they're stowaways, which kind of gives us a reason to have a plot there. And then I guess Adelaide is sisters with the one other evil lady that wants to eat the kids. What's her freaking name?
Oh
dang
god, I
it.
can't remember.
I've got a phone.
but the one with the giant head.
She's the one that reminded me of
Lana?
Spirited Away.
Anti-whispers.
Auntie Whispers, yes. Yes,
God.
you're the like hotel keeper in Spirited Away. She's
Yeah, yeah.
You know who
very
she's voiced by, right?
Auntie Whispers? Yes, it's... Hang on, because he voices another character as well.
He's also in a
it's
very
the-
famous drive-in movie.
Oh.
Monty Python guy, but it's not Eric Idle. John Cleese.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
I got there. Yeah, John Cleese voices Auntie Whispers and also, I believe, the rich guy.
Are we sure about that?
Does he?
All right, who does John
I just
Cleese
know he's
voice?
the guy from.
Nope, John Cleese voices Adelaide. Sorry.
What's the guy?
Auntie Whispers. Go ahead, Cora.
It's the guy that's in. I can't remember the name of the movie now, but it's the drag movie that everybody does the things at the drive-in theater.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Yes. Yes.
What's the name of the movie I'm trying to think of?
Danielle just watched it.
Rock.
It's like a cult classic.
Rocky Horror Picture
Rocky
Show.
Horror Picture Show. God, yeah. Thank
Sorry,
you.
yes.
Like,
That's Tim
Roxy.
Curry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Adelaide, Adelaide is voiced by John Cleese from Monty
Auntie
Python.
Whispers. Yeah.
Auntie Whispers is voiced by Tim Curry.
Because I know
both-
he's had something happen where he can't quite talk the same way he used to, but like
Yeah, Tim
that
Curry's
actually,
a little-
it made this performance better. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was even more uncanny and kind of eerie.
And
But
Tim Curry's been like a horror-related guy for a long time. His
when
bag
Auntie
is
Whispers
being
is just
creepy.
like, no.
Yeah.
This is such a quotable too. Like ain't that just the way? I've been saying that like for a decade now because of this.
Well, that's
movie,
kind of
because of the series.
that reminds me of like Kurt Vonnegut in Slaughterhouse 5. One of his like motif for that's an incorrect use of that word, but like the punctuation he uses on death throughout that book is so it goes.
Huh.
And there's a lot of death in that book. That book is amazing. I think everybody should read it. It'll make you very anti-war.
If you're not already.
But it's full of death, and it's Kurt Vonnegut's experiences fighting in World War II and kind of processing his PTSD through story. It takes place in 3 different timelines, and it's the timelines are intertwined through this character's PTSD, which is a caricature of himself. So there's a lot of death throughout the book, and every time there's death, he punctuates it with "so it goes," and that's similar to that line.
Ain't
That
that just the way?
I like that.
ain't that just the way? So it's very Vonnegut, and I like Kurt Vonnegut. I've only read that one thing of his, but dark.
I've got a couple of his books on audiobook, but I haven't listened to them yet.
Yeah, dark. But really good, really poignant. I finished Slaughterhouse 5 and I went, I don't know how I feel about anything anymore. And this kind of evokes that to a certain degree of like, it's an odd show because it also gives me Charlie Brown feelings, kind of.
Yeah.
Like we watched Great Pumpkin and I'm like, it has the same level of whimsical kids cartoon with a bunch of really adult themes. And
There's nuance in both for sure.
and which is that speaks to incredible writing.
Yeah.
Like not generational because that's a bit grand, but one in every 35 things you watch is going to be this good.
And kind of speaks to, I read that it was a decade from inception to this.
Yeah, 2004 to 2014. Yeah.
So it was, I don't know how much of that time he spent writing, but
I'm not sure. I think it like he
it
started
certainly has
writing
a lot
it,
of time to refine and
like
flesh out all these details.
started writing it in 04 and then 06 had something and he pitched it and it didn't work and then he turned it into Tome of the Unknown and then or whatever that was called and then pitched that and then Cartoon Network ordered the series but then he was doing Adventure Time and then so it's a journey
Yeah.
the realization and then to land Elijah Wood.
Dude, incredible.
Yeah, the
casting.
cast makes this thing. Yeah. God.
He's
was
kind
trying-
of a hard one for me because he's Frodo. Like for in the same way that Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter, you know what I mean? Like he's Frodo.
It never felt like Frodo though in any of his stuff because it seems so distinctly different.
I think he yelled for Greg once, and I'm like, that was an exasperated Frodo back in. You know what I mean?
I was trying real hard to make some kind of Lord of the Rings correlation.
Yeah.
They're on a journey, they're trying to get somewhere, but
It's
it's
so
not there.
different. It's so different. This Lord of the Rings is like
The one true lantern.
the purest of good versus the deepest of evil, and this is more of self. Discovery isn't the right
purest of
thing.
anxiousness versus
Yeah, it's learning through your anxiousness that like shit's actually your fault and that if you own up to it, like things will be okay kind of deal. So with the whole purgatory thing, right? He learns his lesson. The woodsman blows out the lantern, which was indeed the beast, which is very interesting. The woodsman is kind of a very tragic character because he's been literally squeezing the life out of souls unknowingly
yeah.
to fuel basically sacrificing souls in a selfish desire to keep the spirit of his daughter alive,
You know what?
which was a ruse the whole time. So he's
Yeah.
fueling the very evil. He's a sad pawn, which is, I mean,
It's a
he's able
cautionary
to
tale
be.
for Wirt.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's able to be preyed upon so easily because of his anxiety, which is rough.
And his
because-
grief. Like, he feels bad for what he's done. It's like too much of a sacrifice to keep doing that. You're going to always have the grief.
It's a hard thing with anxiety in my own life because, for example, one of the feelings that anxiety brings me personally is a desire to be safe in all things. No risks. Nothing new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a car in the garage I'm afraid to work on. You know what I mean? And all I've watched thousands of hours of
Yeah.
Yeah.
car content, and all you learn is you learn by screwing up. But
And
I
you don't wanna screw
I don't
up.
want to screw up.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the very first episode with Greg naming the frog, we see that Greg's not afraid to have 1,000 wrong names. He's like, and the worst name
I
for the frog
listed
is
them all
this.
for 10 minutes earlier. Like,
Yeah, so that kind of shows, it's like Greg's not afraid to make mistakes, and Wirt doesn't even want to own the frog. He's like, he's absolving himself from any kind of responsibility. So
Right.
yeah, it's
Did we have a favorite frog name?
Oh, hang on. Let me pull them all out.
Because
was
mine
was
for
George
sure,
Washington Jr. one of them? Because that's hilarious.
Mr. Cucumber.
Mr.
was
Cucumber.
pretty great.
So it was George Washington, then Mr.
Kitty.
President, and then Benjamin
Mr.
Franklin. I think the first one was my favorite. The first thing he calls the frog is Kitty.
Yeah,
And I just like
that.
animals that their names are a different
Other
animal that's
animals.
wrong.
Oh man. In the post credits, they gave the frog a different name every time.
Oh, that's
Like
great.
depending on what he was calling it in the episode.
Okay, I just thought of something. What is it? Is it maybe this is coziness as well, and maybe this is coziness because of the age of the creator. Although I think it would be a bit late. I think he's in his 40s. But when we are in episode 9 and we're in quote unquote present day, like the little bit of a prelogue when we're in the real world, it's 90s, isn't it? It feels
they don't really
vaguely
say.
late
It
80s, early
feels
90s.
90s.
It's cassette tapes and
Oh, true.
Yeah, I didn't think about
bicycle
that.
into cemeteries and hanging out
But she
without
also said
parents.
she didn't have a cassette player, so maybe that could mean that it's later and he's just poor.
An old soul.
He's
poor.
Yeah, he's an old
Right,
soul.
like maybe that late 90s.
Put it on a flash drive.
That late 90s,
Yeah.
early 2000s crossover, maybe.
Yeah.
But it felt.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't a transitionary period because that would really vibe with the rest of the kind of stuff transitioning
That's
into
It made me feel nostalgic for a
characters.
time period that I'm slightly too young to have experienced. And that's, again, good writing. But it did. It made me go, oh, you can't do this stuff anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I would never be let loose on Halloween to go to a graveyard with a
Heck
girl.
no.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you'd be killed.
bygone era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Man.
Yeah, I never really thought about what the time frame was.
I think if I had to describe one, I just thought of a single word to describe the show. Poignant comes to mind. Poignant, deep, thought-provoking, if you hyphenate it. Cozy's not it for me, though. I don't subscribe to that. I don't know about you guys. I don't think warm fuzzies when I watch this. I think it's a mood, as we would say 10 years
It's
ago. Mood.
it's a high stakes
It's giving.
A high-stakes cozy.
That's it.
You're wearing a
the title
flannel.
of the episode.
You're wearing a flannel while running away from Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. Yeah.
High stakes
Yeah.
cozy.
Yeah. You're sitting by the fire, but the fire keeps growing and taking over the whole house.
Do we have a?
This is fine.
We have a favorite episode or plot point?
That's hard.
I'm gonna pull up the Wikipedia to read the episode. Okay, you know
I will
what?
say
There's
one thing.
another. Oh, go ahead.
I will say one thing just about the different episodes. I think I would have enjoyed. And again, I really enjoyed this, but I feel like I would have enjoyed it more had I watched it an episode at a time instead of all in one sitting, because you kind of get these per episode villains. And after a certain
Yes.
point, after episode 5, you're just like, okay, this is the villain. Now they're going to go away. Like, it's just going to help them get closer to whoever's house or whatever. So I started to kind of throw away some of the villains just because I knew they weren't going to
Okay.
be permanent.
Can I put an additional, an official big room recommendation for how to watch this?
Yes.
Do 2 buys. Do 2 episodes a day for 5 days. Because I maintain that doing 9-10 in one sitting with nothing before and nothing after was amazing.
Yeah.
So do 2 buys.
I like that.
Put it over
I
your
don't
work
know that
week.
I've ever not just watched it all the way through.
I thought that was fine. I mean, the first 8, like I didn't really feel lost. Like I remember as I read them on Wikipedia, I'm like, oh, yep, I remember that. Oh, yep, I remember that. I think that if I had to pick the 2 episodes that stand out to me most in my head are the Pumpkin People episode, which I think is the second or third one.
Yeah.
Second one, yes. Hard Times at the Husk and Bee. My favorite one though, and this is just classic me, is the 9th episode because it's a prequel and I like the beginnings of things. It's also the one though that it pulls you in deepest before 10. It's the perfect place to have that. If they had started with that, I don't think episode 10 hits the same. If you go through the whole show,
I don't think
9
the
at
whole
the
series hits the same. Yeah,
exactly.
I think, I'm glad they told it out of order because they let you build this fantastical thing and then they ground it with like what the actual stakes are.
I think
it
that's
grips
what
you.
I think that's what makes it brilliant. It's the, I felt so bad when I had to plant the tumor in her head kind of shock of like, oh shit, we're in real life. I haven't seen that movie, by the way.
That reference.
Is that the first Guardians movie, I think?
That's the second one.
I was like, oh my God, did I miss something in this movie?
I've only seen the
Or the
first
show?
There's a
one.
tumor.
There's a tumor? Oh my
And then they
God.
found a tumor.
I've only seen the first Guardian, but you know what I
But,
mean?
classic me.
It just takes the already kind of heavy-ish subject matter and, like Carl said, grounds it, but like really grounds it. And you're like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
It's not just a whimsical story about 2 lads with interesting headwear trouncing around.
They're us.
They're people
Yeah.
in the world.
But also at the same time, the stakes are not high at all. He's just got a crush on a lady. Like, so it's like, you know what I mean? Like, other than until they fall in the water, like the stakes are kind of just
that-
Yeah, but
pedestrian,
he has to
civilian,
change.
pedestrian.
But that gives it tragedy.
Yeah.
Because now we've got drowning children, you know what I mean? Who either are or aren't dead. And then in the 10th episode, what does he do? He wakes up in the water, grabs his brother that he previously kind of cared about when he pushed him away from the train, but was very irritated with. He says in that 9th episode a million times, this is all your fault to Greg.
Here's where I'm at. I think this all happens while they're under the water.
Yeah, it does.
So does his brother, if we're seeing it from his perspective, does his brother even know any of this?
There is
When they come
a thing that happens at the last episode, and it's the frog, has the bell in his stomach. So
in the hospital, he's
Yes.
twirling George Washington Jr. or whatever around.
at that time, it was Jason Funderburger.
That's right, Jason Funderburger.
Our frog. I say that about once a week now too. Our frog, our frog, our frog. It's just.
He's twirling him around, and the stomach glows. So and it's like, well.
So then is it like a Narnia situation?
Or like an Inception, like top warble kind of like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Inception either. Look at all these references of making shit I haven't seen.
Wow.
Carl, that's what the whole show's about, man.
I thought you'd seen it.
No, Danielle's seen Inception.
Can we convince you to watch a Leonardo DiCaprio movie?
I'd watch Inception.
It's good.
I feel like I'm gonna not.
I feel like you'll hate it for Leonardo, and that's
No.
sucks.
Here's why I feel like I'd hate it is because everybody spent the last 15 years talking about how big brain it is, and I'm gonna come on.
You did absolutely call Shutter Island before you watched it on the episode. Oh, what? He's like the whatever 99th patient. I was just looking the other way and trying not to smile.
Didn't I do that like when we announced that we were watching it the next episode? Yeah. See?
Yeah.
This guy's brain is not that big, but sometimes I guess movies right. Favorite. I gave my favorites. Do you have a standout like scene even? I won't limit it to episode.
Episode 2 stands out, and then the ferry episode where they're on
eight or so where he's in the clouds.
No. Sorry, we're on the boat.
On the boat. On the boat with where he plays
and the frog sings, and
Yeah.
that was just a fun episode.
Carl.
Lullaby in Frogland. I think, I like the boat episode just because we get that frog. And that's kind of when we have a character arc change for Beatrice, who at the time was trying to trade their souls basically for a family back. At that episode, she's doing everything she can to get them kicked off the boat so they can't go to Adelaide.
Yep.
So that's kind of like another big thing. And that wouldn't have happened if Wirt had had any like character development to become more of a, you know, like she sees his growth and his value, and then she has second guesses about like trading him in. So it's like it all kind of has to happen, and that's like a pivotal episode.
I like Beatrice's kind of very flippant forgiveness of Wirt at the end when he gives her the scissors that he's had the whole time.
Yeah.
Because he kept them from her because he's mad at her, and then he goes, "Oh no, you can have these and cure your whole family."
No, I need to backtrack. I like the school episode a lot, where
The school episode was weird.
where he was just being like mean to her out of spite. Like, I will sit here. I will listen to the teacher.
Was it like syrup and mashed potatoes or whatever the song
the molasses.
was?
Oh, potatoes and molasses.
That's
yeah.
it. Potatoes and molasses. So weird. And then like that school...
A's for the apple that he gave to me. Found a worm inside.
Then it cuts back and she's
There's
on like
a lot
Jay.
of really great little musical numbers too throughout.
Oh, well, he wrote, the
Just so
creator
good.
wrote the songs.
God, that's so good.
This
He's
is incredible.
so-
This
it's
is
so good.
incredible.
He's a Renaissance man.
I fully
Patrick Mahale.
understand. I understand it. Like, I get the hype. I just I don't know if I can subscribe to the coziness. I'm gonna stop saying that now, but I don't I don't know if that's the
There's definitely cozy aspects, but I don't think that's the perfect word to describe it. Yeah,
it isn't.
nostalgic, but I don't know what for.
Right. That's kind of what I was getting at with the ninth.
It's more
episode.
melancholy than cozy.
Melancholy.
Melancozy.
Melancozy.
Hey,
Title of the episode.
someone remind me that's so I'm gonna write it down. Melancozy.
Oh, melancholy. That's good. That's perfect.
That's gonna be. Everybody's gonna see the title and go, "What the hell does this have to do about melons?" We'll be like,
Melancozy.
"Pumpkins are kind of melons, bro." Melancozy. That's the perfect word.
Yep.
Put it on
There
the
we
shirt.
go.
Well, that's the episode title too. Okay. Well, let's. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up? Because
Well,
we've been
I was
going
going to
for
say,
a minute.
there's a very, if you want an in-depth like video analysis, there's a YouTuber named Storyograph.
I
who
watched that today.
Okay, he breaks down the entire show, and each episode has like a love theme, which I guess is the overall like, you know, we can
Oh,
say
I didn't
what
watch
about
that
words,
today.
like,
I watched a different
Oh,
one.
okay. Well, basically, each episode there's like, you know, the first episode is about lack of love or indifference because that's where it's kind of he needs to figure out how to love himself and also everyone around him. And so each episode has like a very distinct. I don't want to. I'll do a disservice to
We'll
try
be
to
here
like,
for
list
10
them all,
minutes,
but
too,
yeah. But yeah, definitely go watch that. It's really, it's probably longer than the actual series.
I watched
But
one
it's,
called.
it's very in depth, and he goes through the story structure and about like the hero's journey and all that kind of stuff. It's very, very good.
I watched one called Brief Tune. That was an 18-minute recap. That kind of pointed. It kind of connected some dots from the end to the beginning. Which is why I was able to speak on that without watching the whole show again. So shout out to Brief Tune for that little 18-minute video. I recommend that if you're gonna watch it once, but want to kind of get a little more, like peel back the film a little bit without watching it 3 or 4 times. That was a good video as well. Anything else before we hit mid or miss? I have Danielle text to read about.
Oh,
the movie as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
She will be involved in hit mid or miss, even though she's not here. But she will get to edit
This is dumb, but it was just when Word is wax poeticking about something, and then Greg just goes, "Oh, I didn't know that." Like, so dismissive.
that flippant
does not
dismissal?
take it in.
That's so younger brother too.
Just wants to be involved so bad, but doesn't really know how to contribute in a meaningful way. Just, oh, I didn't know that. All right. So many of Greg's little lines just really tickle me.
There was one, and I don't remember the context, but he's talking to a lady, and she's like, "Don't call me ma'am," and he goes, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
Old Lady Daniels, yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
stole the rock from.
Greg is-
He returned it at the end.
It's a rock fact.
Did you know dinosaurs had ears?
And then he kind of buries the lead at the end, or uncovers the lead he buried, that all the rock facts are just lies he's making up, which is awesome.
That's excellent.
It's a rock fact.
I'm going to read Danielle's hit, mid, or miss first because she's a bummer, kind of. So
Let's get that out of the way. Sheesh.
Guess who liked this the least out of everyone? No. So, overall, I enjoyed it. All right. It was
Moving on.
It was whimsical and goofy, which is very interesting because I don't know if we would use those 2 words to describe it from what we've said. Different takeaways.
Greg is awfully whimsical.
He is. So she goes on. I had several moments where I saw myself in Greg when he would make a noise or yell about something. I also like Danielle's definitely a Greg in our dichotomy. Like she's more innocent of the 2 of us. She's Definitely more positive,
Loves elephants.
more whimsical, loves elephants. And then she says that
true. It might
she says she saw me and Wirt as he sighed and rolled his eyes. Thanks. I watched a couple Studio Ghibli movies over the weekend. So it was interesting then going into this and seeing those influences. So that's where she made that comparison I mentioned earlier.
Nice.
I feel like I have to give it a mid though. I don't know if I see myself going back to this often. I can get with that. And it didn't quite hit as much of a high as people set my expectations up to. Now, she had
I was trying so hard not to.
She had people at work gas this up for her. And
Don't
that
oversell.
sucks because Danielle does not like being oversold. From our experience doing 90 some odd episodes of the show or however many we're on,
Yeah.
I feel
It's
like
a better surprise than.
it's a better surprise. Also, she's not very big. She might be mad at me for this, but I don't think she's very big into the more adult aimed animated media, if that makes sense.
But she usually likes the Ghibli stuff, right?
She does like Ghibli stuff, not all of
Ghibli,
it. Though.
sorry.
I don't know how it's pronounced, bro. Not all of it though. Some of it has missed her. I think like The Cat Returns. I don't think she liked. Is Castle in the Sky one? Something like that. So there's some that she hasn't really liked, but she liked Spirited Away. I know she loves Kiki's Delivery Service. I don't remember the one that she watched this week. I don't remember.
There's the new Heron one on Netflix.
I want to watch
Oh, yeah,
that.
the Heron.
I want to watch that. So that's her thoughts. We also like kept finishing them late at night when she was sleepy, which kind of helps give them negative spins. But I get where she's coming from on the for example, I would watch this once a year every fall. I think is where it's at for me. I don't know if it's gonna be like May 38th and I'm gonna pull this out.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Finally.
It would have to be a very rainy May for me to.
And also
dust
7
this off.
days after May ends. Because I said 38th for some reason.
I was going to say.
Oh,
I thought I just heard it wrong.
No. So I kind of get with her there. I'm going to disagree, though, on. I don't think it was. So I had Dan kind of hype it up for me a bit. He said Tori likes it a lot. And so I kind of went in going, this will be dope. But I've seen both Flapjack and Adventure Time. So I kind of knew some of this guy's work.
Yeah.
Kind of knew then I was able to settle into the feel quite easily. I feel like having that Flapjack Adventure Time kind of under your belt helps get into the groove of this quickly. It was 5 minutes before I went, okay. Like I kind of know at least some of the tone of what we're going for here, having seen some of his other work. So Danielle didn't have the experience, but neither did you. So what did you think? I'm going to give it a hit, by the way. What did you think?
Yeah, I definitely think not watching many cartoons or animated stuff growing up hurt how I looked at this. Just because I didn't, not necessarily hurt how I looked at it, but didn't give me the appreciation for it that you guys might have.
well, I think there's also a lot of the cartoon influences stuff from before our time.
Oh my
You know,
God.
so
Yeah,
it's
there
not
was some like
there's-
Steamboat Willie looking animation. And
Yeah,
and
so
some
a
of the-
lot of it is lost on me that way too. But I did have the Flapjack and Adventure Time
Yeah.
stuff. So.
I loved it though. Story aside, just the way it looks was freaking awesome. Definitely, it's a fall thing, like the leaves and the pumpkins and like it's just
the
vibe.
the sepia of it all, and you know what I mean.
it's hard to like put a word on it, like how visually it makes
wonder
you
Do
feel.
I need to make up a new word real quick?
Yeah.
I wonder how the storyboarding went. If it was like, nope, it's not fall enough. Like this doesn't feel dark enough. I will say the one thing Danielle and I kept cracking up about because we did watch this on Hulu. Carl, did you watch it on Hulu? You might be able to commiserate with us. We have a new television. It's quite large, 75 inches, and this television is the brightest TV I've ever owned by an order of a magnitude. It is very bright, and I have the brightness on 70%, right? However, the Cartoon Network splash screen is bright ass white.
Flashbang.
Every 11 minutes,
Wake up!
it was like being flashbanged by Requise. Look up that Jev reference online. It was so bright that we would come to the end of an episode and both start squinting and looking away because it was just like Cartoon Network. like so bright. And you know, when it's 11 p.m. and you're trying to finish the 8th episode of 8 you're gonna watch that night, and then you get flashbanged for the millionth
a lightning strike.
I was like, I'm gonna turn the brightness down. This is crazy.
I do wish there was a version that cut out the splash screens and the end credits and just kind of made it a movie.
I have a Hulu complaint that
Okay.
I forgot to bring up. I don't know what it is about Hulu. I don't know, because I usually watch things actively, so I'm not like clicking when it's like, go to the next episode. I'm not clicking that thing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it seems like Adventure Time is the culprit, as I've watched that more. But every time for some reason, Hulu, it needs a full rewatch button. Because sometimes I'll watch a show and it's just the last 5 seconds and then it's the credits. And then it goes to the next episode and it's the last 5 seconds and the credits. And I'm like, why would this not be fixed already? Like, I don't want to
Like a reset button.
Yeah, like YouTube's got
you
the
need
watch
to be
from
like
beginning.
fully rewatched. It's like you either have to scrub through each thing or just end up watching the last few. It kind of becomes its own little thing. You're like, yeah, I'm going to get the last little bit and then I get the credits and the next bit. And it's like a condensed show.
Was
but
it YouTube? There was
I don't know how to
there was
fix it.
some streaming service, right? They have I think it's YouTube, but when you have like a movie in the library, not like YouTube video, and they have a watch from beginning button.
They just
YouTube
need
TV.
that for the whole show. Just be like hard reset.
Same difference, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Something
Nick,
needs
did you
to
finish
happen.
your hit, or miss?
I didn't. I'm gonna give it a hit.
There you go, Carl.
I'm sure this won't be a shocker. I'm going to give it a hit. I'm just now realizing a pattern, though, with Danielle skimping out on episodes of shows I've recommended. Or
Yeah, you know what?
Wait,
You know what?
The last one was
super bad.
She skipped out, didn't watch it, didn't
See,
like
what is
it.
she's missed. This is her 3rd episode. I think she hasn't been on, and it's all 3 things you've loved because it was the good, the bad, the ugly, super bad, and now Over the Garden Wall. Although,
Don't tell her this, and let's
so-
put it to the test.
in fairness, it was out of town, super COVID, sisters in town. So she's got good excuses, but
She's got alibis,
Convenient.
but
actually, no, she's
it's
missed
hard
4.
not to take it personally.
She's missed 4 episodes.
what was the 4?
The Batman.
Oh yeah,
She missed the
David.
Batman, and she was again out of town for that. And I, like, the day she got home, I like chained her to the couch and made her watch that movie because it's so good. That is the best live action Batman movie. Argue with a wall. It's amazing.
It's very, very good.
It's amazing. I have.
Did you
I
guys
gotta
watch Penguin at all?
I gotta
I
watch
know
the
it's a
Penguin.
No, I
show.
need to.
I watch Penguin.
Yeah, I think it's 8 episodes. Or
don't
10.
like
I don't know.
subscriptions.
Anyway,
I heard the last.
I'll give it a
episode's
hit.
amazing.
I think I'm gonna watch it and continue to watch it again every year. I think
Same.
I'm still
I
finding
own
new
it
little
now, so
like
I'm
things.
definitely-
At
least one.
He's got it on Laserdisc.
Yeah. But I'm also like, kudos to the restraint to not like wring this out into oblivion and make a
That's
million
SpongeBob.
sub-series.
For real.
And
Yeah.
like, I mean, the fact that they had a decade went by before they released another thing that was related to this universe. Like, and it was just a short that didn't really expand. It was just kind of like a nice little love letter to it.
Right.
I can't imagine that kind of restraint because I would want to keep making things. Like,
Okay.
I would want to keep adding to it, and I would end up ruining it. So yeah, I love this show. Hit.
Well, Danielle be damned. It's a big room banger.
Yeah.
I don't have the air horn because the iPad's dead, but
Rip.
you know what? Over the Garden Wall. That was a delightful watch and a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
Doing a movie, it felt nice to be able to like put something down part of the way through and not have it kind of hang there.
Yeah.
Which I mean, we've watched movies with intermissions like Seven Samurai and the worst movie in the world, Gone with the Wind.
I planned a snack break after episode 5. It was
Nice. Did you watch it? So you watched it all in one night?
Yeah.
That sucks.
great. I mean, it's fine. I would have liked to. I think your suggestions.
2
spot on.
buys.
2 a night.
Do 2 a night. That's what I would suggest. All right. Well, with that, we have sad news. We have no idea what movie we're watching next. 'Cause November, I think, have one more week than we expected. So we had 4 picked, and there's 5 weeks or something. So we don't have one for Thanksgiving
off.
picked, but we're gonna pick it. It'll be a surprise,
And then we'll watch it.
and then we'll watch it. So we'll be back next week with End Film. We don't know which one, and then we'll get right into the Christmas spirit for December. I'm excited. I've got another non-movie for everybody in December that I am very excited and scared to see how it'll go down with everybody. But I am hopeful. So it'll be related to a tattoo that I will have. We'll say that.
Oh snap!
We'll say that foreshadowing. So, well, thanks for watching and listening. follow us on things, TikTok, Instagram. I think Nick uses Threads sometimes.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, comment, share on YouTube.
Discord.
And join our Discord where I think the New York Times
We're back.
mini team is no longer on strike, so we're allowed to play Wordle again.
I gotta complain about that.
All right, let's not complain about people striking. We're pro.
David called me a scab, and then he finds out they weren't on strike, and he never apologized.
No, I think the strike ended today, and you had happened to post Wordle. So what David did is you posted a Wordle result today, and he went to call you a scab again to see if they were still on strike. And then in his research, this could all be libel, and David could sue me. But the timing seems a little...
I just know he called me a scab, and then he corrected himself, and he's like, "Oh, they're not on strike." And I was like, "And what? Are you sorry?"
Well, we play the Wordle, we play the New York Times Mini, we play Connections every single day. Good half dozen of us every day. It's fun.
Yeah.
So come see how ass I am at the New York Times Mini. We're going to watch a movie, like I said. Happy Thanksgiving is not when you'll see this. I think it's ish. Who knows? I can't keep track. The year's getting away. It's almost 2025. Imagine that.
Sheesh.
It'll be 30 next year. Hey, movies.
Ooh.
We'll catch you in the next one.